Beneath the stunning Colorado mountains lies a network of silent, crumbling passages, and something else. Something that enforces rules so strict, so terrifying, that they dictate life and death for those who dare to enter. I'm taking you inside to witness the perilous work of patrolling these abandoned mines and uncover the chilling truths that lurk in the darkness. Are you brave enough to face what's down there? My headlamp beam cuts through absolute darkness as I step into the mouth of the Raven Creek mine. The temperature drops 20 degrees in as many feet, and the smell hits me immediately. Damp earth, rust, and something older. Something that speaks of forgotten time. Most people who visit Colorado see the beauty of the Rockies, the pristine ski slopes, the quaint mountain towns. I see forgotten graves. My name is James Garrett, and for the past 7 years, I've been part of Colorado's mine hazard abatement program. We're the ones who go into these abandoned tunnels, document their condition, seal the dangerous ones, and search for people who don't come back out. This isn't exploring. This is an adventure. This is a desperate search for the unknown dangers that lurk in over 23,000 abandoned mines scattered throughout the state. The Raven Creek mine has been closed since 1947. 78 years of neglect, of water seeping through fractured rock, of timber supports slowly rotting in the perpetual darkness. The mountain is slowly reclaiming what men carved from its belly over a century ago, and it's patient. It has all the time in the world. We don't. I pause at the entrance, performing my ritual checks. Gas meter on my belt. Reading normal. Spare batteries? Check. Radio, though it won't work once I'm more than 100 feet in. Emergency beacon. First aid kit. Protein bars and water. Climbing rope. Everything I need to maybe survive if something goes wrong. And in these places, something always goes wrong eventually. The call came in 3 hours ago. 2 college students from Boulder. Last seen heading toward this mine yesterday afternoon with headlamps and smartphones, thinking they were prepared for an adventure. Their parents reported them missing when they didn't return. Now I'm here, hoping I find them confused and embarrassed, rather than broken and silent at the bottom of an unmapped shaft. I key my radio one last time before the mountain swallows the signal. Garrett entering Raven Creek mine, 14:47 hours. Estimated interior time, 2 hours maximum. The static-laden response from my partner, Elena Vasquez, crackles back. Copy that, James. 2 hours. Not a minute more or I'm coming in. Don't. I tell her and I mean it. Rule number 1 of mine patrol. Never risk 2 lives when you might only lose 1. Elena knows this. We all do. But knowing and accepting are different things. And I can hear the tension in her voice even through the static. The tunnel swallows me whole. Within 50 feet, the natural light from the entrance becomes a distant memory. My headlamp creates a moving circle of illumination in an ocean of black, and the walls close in. The ceiling here is supported by massive timbers, dark with age and moisture. Some are original, placed by miners who've been dead for over a century. I touch one as I pass, and my fingers come away damp. The wood is soft, compromised. These supports are decorative now, offering about as much structural integrity as cardboard. The tunnel branches ahead. I consult my map, a photocopy of an original mining company survey from 1923. Incomplete, questionable, and the only guide I have. The main shaft continues straight, descending at a gradual slope. The side passage curves left, heading toward what the map labels as shaft 7 to 240 feet. I check my gas meter again. Still normal, but the needle on the oxygen sensor has dropped slightly. Not dangerous yet, but noticeable. The air down here is old, trapped, slowly consumed by rust and decay. Every breath I take displaces air that's been sealed in this mountain for decades. And every breath feels heavier than the last. Something glints in my headlamp beam. I kneel, careful to test the ground before putting my full weight down. It's an energy drink, The label still vibrant and new. The students were here. Recently. Hello. My voice echoes down the tunnel, bouncing off walls and disappearing into side passages. This is Mine's safety patrol. If you can hear me, call out. Nothing. Just the echo of my own voice dying in the dark, and then a sound that makes my blood freeze. Dripping water, rhythmic and slow. But underneath it, something else. A scraping sound, like metal on rock, distant but distinct. I stand slowly, one hand going to the radio on my belt, even though I know it's useless down here. The scraping comes again, echoing from somewhere deeper in the mine. It could be anything: settling rock, water moving loose debris, an old cable swaying in air currents that shouldn't exist in a sealed mine. Or it could be the students trying to dig themselves out of a collapse. I move forward, following the main shaft deeper into the mountain. The walls here are different, showing the marks of hand drilling, the holes where dynamite charges were placed over 100 years ago. The miners who worked this drift did so with only candles and oil lamps and air thick with rock dust, knowing that every swing of the pick could be their last. Methane explosions, tunnel collapses, flooding, carbon monoxide poisoning. The mines killed men with casual regularity, and nobody kept good records of the bodies. My boot catches on something and I look down. Railroad tracks, half buried in sediment and debris. They run down the center of the tunnel, rusted to a deep red-brown that's almost black. These would have carried or carts, pushed by hand, or pulled by mules that lived their entire lives in darkness. There's something profoundly disturbing about that. Animals born in sunlight, brought into this artificial night, and never seeing the sky again. The gas meter beeps. My eyes snap to it, and my stomach tightens. The oxygen reading has dropped to 18%. Still breathable, but approaching the threshold where judgment gets impaired. More concerning is the other reading. Methane starting to register. Not high, not yet, but climbing. This is where the first rule becomes crystal clear. The air you breathe can turn into a killer. Methane is odorless, colorless, and it displaces oxygen. It seeps from coal seams and organic deposits, accumulating in low spots and dead-end passages. Get enough of it, and your lamp goes out. Get more, and you go out with it, unconscious before you realize something's wrong. Dead minutes later. I've pulled 3 bodies from mines in 7 years. 2 of them never knew what hit them. They just sat down to rest in the wrong spot and never woke up. I marked the oxygen and methane levels on my map, along with my current position. If I don't come out, this information might save whoever comes looking for me. Might. The tunnel opens into a larger chamber, and my headlamp barely reaches the far wall. This was a work area, where it was sorted and loaded. Rusted equipment litters the space. Pulleys, cable spools, the skeletal remains of a hand-cranked ventilator, and something else, a backpack, modern, bright blue, grotesquely out of place among the century-old decay. I approach it carefully, sweeping my light across the chamber. The ceiling here is fractured, showing fresh cracks. Small rocks and dirt have fallen recently, creating small piles on the floor. This chamber is actively failing, the weight of the mountain above slowly overwhelming whatever support system the miners installed. The backpack belongs to one of the students. The name Tylerton is written in permanent marker on the front pocket. Inside, I find the usual things: phone with a dead battery, wallet, keys, a half-empty water bottle, and a note hastily written on a torn piece of paper. Went deeper. Heard something. Going to check it out. T. I close my eyes and curse under my breath. They heard something and investigated. Every instinct they possessed should have screamed at them to run. But curiosity is a powerful drug, and these tunnels play on it. The darkness whispers promises of discovery, of secrets revealed, of adventure. The darkness lies. The scraping sound comes again, louder now, more distinct. It's coming from a passage on the far side of the chamber, one that descends steeply. My map doesn't show it. Either it's unmapped, or I'm already off course, turned around in the identical-looking tunnels. I should leave. I should back out, call for a full team with better equipment. Wait for proper support. That's protocol. That's smart. But two kids are down here somewhere, and every minute matters. Every minute the air gets worse. Every minute the unstable ground could shift. Every minute increases the chance I find bodies instead of people. I check my watch. I've been inside for 43 minutes. I have just over an hour before Elena comes looking, and I cannot let that happen. The passage beckons, darker than the darkness around it, if such a thing is possible. I take a breath of the thickening air and step into the deep. The descent is treacherous. The floor drops away at a 30-degree angle, covered in loose scree that shifts under my boots with every step. My hands brush the walls for balance, and the rock here feels different, wetter, colder, as though the mountain is actively trying to force me out through sheer discomfort. The temperature has dropped another 10 degrees, and I can see my breath misting in the headlamp beam. This passage wasn't made for walking. It was blasted quickly and cheaply, following a vein of ore, without regard for safety or sustainability. The walls show the characteristic marks of black powder charges, irregular and jagged. No timber supports here. Nothing but naked rock held together by friction and luck. And luck in abandoned mines has a half-life measured in decades. It ran out for the original miners long ago. The gas meter beeps insistently now. Oxygen at 17% and dropping. Methane holding steady but present. I'm approaching the threshold where I need to turn back. But the passage ahead shows signs of recent disturbance. Footprints in the dust, two sets heading deeper. The students came this way, perhaps an hour ago, based on how sharply defined the prints remain. Tyler, Rachel, my voice sounds flat here, absorbed by the rock instead of echoing. Wrong. Everything about that is wrong. Mine safety patrol. Call out if you can hear me. Silence. Then, faintly, something that might be a voice or might be water moving through cracks in stone. I can't tell which. And that terrifies me more than I want to admit. I've been doing this work for 7 years, and I still don't fully understand why people enter these mines. The official reasons are varied. Thrill seekers looking for an adrenaline rush. Treasure hunters convinced they'll find overlooked gold or silver. Vandals who destroy what little remains of historical equipment. Photographers chasing the perfect shot of decay. But the real reason, the one nobody wants to admit, is simpler and more primal. We're drawn to forbidden places. There's something in human nature that sees a warning sign and interprets it as a challenge. Danger, keep out becomes adventure. Enter here. I've pulled bodies from mines that had been sealed with concrete and steel bars. The victims cut their way through rather than walk away. They died for the privilege of being somewhere they weren't supposed to be. And I'm the one who carries their decision out in a body bag. 3 years ago, I found a man in the Silver Bell mine, 2 miles from any entrance. He'd fallen down an unmapped shaft and broken both legs. I found him 4 days after he went missing, still alive, barely. He survived by drinking seepage water and eating energy bars he packed. When I asked him why he came alone, why he didn't tell anyone where he was going, he couldn't answer. Just stared at me with hollow eyes and said, I had to see. Had to see what? There's nothing in these mines but danger and death. The gold is gone, extracted over a century ago. The history is preserved better in museums and books. The only thing waiting in the darkness is the certainty that the mountain will reclaim what was taken from it. But I keep coming back to. That's the hypocrisy I live with. I tell people to stay out while I walk deeper in. And I tell myself it's different because I'm trained, because I'm careful, because I understand the risks. Maybe that's true. Or maybe I'm just another addict, hooked on the adrenaline of playing dice with death in the dark. The passage levels out, opening into another chamber. This one is larger, more structured, with evidence of significant excavation. Timber supports create a grid pattern across the ceiling, many of them still solid despite the decades. This was important to the miners, worth the effort of hauling lumber into the depths and constructing proper infrastructure. My headlamp sweeps across the space and catches something that makes me freeze. A figure standing motionless against the far wall. My heart hammers against my ribs as I bring the light back, forcing myself to breathe slowly. It's not a person. It's a mannequin, dressed in period mining clothes, canvas pants, a heavy shirt, suspenders. A felt hat sits on its head, and a lunch pail rests at its feet. Someone brought this down here, staged it, probably for photographs. It's been here long enough that dust has settled on it, giving the clothes a gray, ghostly appearance. I release a breath I didn't know I was holding and immediately regret it. The air tastes foul now, thick and metallic. The gas meter confirms what my lungs are telling me. Oxygen at 16%, methane at 1.2%. Not immediately lethal, but getting close. Much deeper, and I'll start making mistakes. The body shuts down cognitive function to preserve core systems. And you don't realize it's happening until you're on the ground, wondering why your legs stop working. This is where the second rule becomes undeniable. Structural integrity is everything, and these tunnels are waiting to swallow you whole. I examine the supports more carefully. Several show signs of stress. Cracks running along the grain, moisture damage causing rot, nails pulling free from their setting. The mountain above weighs millions of tons, and every square inch of these timbers bears the burden. When they fail, and they will fail eventually, the collapse is instantaneous and total. The rock doesn't fall like rain. It falls like a hammer, and there's no time to run, no space to hide. I've studied the reports. Tunnel collapses in abandoned mines kill an average of 12 people per year in Colorado alone. Most aren't even trying to explore. They're walking near an entrance when the ground gives way beneath them, or investigating what looks like a shallow cave that turns out to connect to thousands of feet of unstable passages. The mountain is patient, but it's also opportunistic. It takes what it's offered. A sound echoes through the chamber. That's scraping again, but closer now, accompanied by something new. A voice faint and distorted, calling words I can't quite make out. "Hello," I shout, moving toward the source. "Keep calling. I'll follow your voice." The response is immediate but wrong. It's my own voice, echoed back to me with a strange quality, like a recording played at the wrong speed. The acoustics in this chamber are playing tricks, bouncing sound in unexpected ways. 3 passages lead out of a chamber, each descending in different directions. My map is useless here. We're in sections that were either never recorded or deliberately left off the official surveys. Some mining operations did that, keeping their most productive veins secret from competitors and tax assessors. It made sense then. Now it means I'm navigating blind, following instinct and fresh footprints in decade-old dust. The middle passage shows the clearest signs of recent traffic. I take it moving more slowly now, testing each step before committing my weight. The floor here is uneven, scattered with debris from ceiling falls. Chunks of rock the size of basketballs lie among smaller fragments, evidence of ongoing deterioration. My radio crackles with pure static. We're too deep for any signal, but the static itself is wrong. Rhythmic, almost like breathing. I switch it off, unwilling to waste battery power on electronic ghosts. The passage narrows, forcing me to turn sideways to squeeze through. My breathing sounds loud in the confined space, and I'm hyper-aware of the rock pressing in from all sides. Claustrophobia isn't a luxury you can afford in this work, but that doesn't mean I enjoy it. Every narrow passage reminds me that I'm walking through solid stone, that millions of tons of mountains surround me, that the only reason I have space to move is because men with hand drills and black powder explosives carved out, and their engineering wasn't perfect. The passage opens abruptly, and I nearly stumble into open air. I catch myself against the wall, heart racing, headlamp beams sweeping downward. There's a shaft here maybe 10 feet across, dropping into darkness so complete that my light doesn't reach the bottom. No railings, no warning signs, just open space where a floor should be. The railroad tracks I'd been following end abruptly at the edge, suggesting our carts were once pushed directly into the shaft, dropping loads to a lower level. This is the third rule. Written in the lives, it's claimed. Unmarked hazards and unseen pits are everywhere. And one wrong step is all it takes. I've seen the statistics. Vertical shafts account for 30% of mine fatalities. They're impossible to see in the dark, often covered by deceptively strong-looking boards or hidden by debris, and they drop anywhere from 20 feet to over 1,000. The ones that don't kill you immediately often trap you with injuries too severe to climb out from, leaving you to wait for rescue in darkness, hoping someone knows where to look. I carefully test the ground around the shaft, finding the edges. It's roughly circular, hand-hewn, with timber framing around the opening that's largely rotted away. A rope hangs down into the darkness, modern nylon climbing rope, tied to one of the timber supports. Someone descended recently. Please, I think, let it not be the students. But I know better. The rope is the right diameter for recreational climbing, and it's tied with a figure-8 knot. Basic, but functional. The students came this way, and they went down. I clip my own rope to my harness and secure it to a different support. The one holding their rope looks questionable. I test it with my full weight before committing, then swing my legs over the edge. The descent is disorienting. The shaft walls are uneven, requiring constant fending off to avoid spinning on the rope. Water seeps from cracks, making everything slick. My headlamp illuminates only a small bubble around me, with infinite darkness above and below. It feels less like climbing and more like floating in space, untethered from any reference point. 20 feet down, the shaft intersects another tunnel. I can see the student's rope continuing down, but there's something on this level that catches my attention. A light, faint and flickering, barely visible in the passage to my left. I swing toward it, getting a foot on solid ground, and the smell hits me. Something burning, acrid and chemical. The flickering light is a road flare, the kind you keep in your car for emergencies, stuck upright in the tunnel floor and burning with a sputtering red glow. Next to it, written in chalk on the stone wall, are 3 words: "Don't go deeper." The handwriting is shaky, done in haste or fear. The chalk is fresh enough that I can smudge it with my finger. One of the students wrote this, then went deeper anyway. I check my watch. 59 minutes since I entered. I should be heading out, should be climbing back up to Elena and daylight, an air that doesn't taste like poison. But the rope continues down, and somewhere below, 2 people are trapped or lost or worse. The flare sputters, its chemical fuel nearly exhausted. In seconds, the tunnel will be dark again, and I'll have to decide whether to follow the warning or ignore it like the students did. The flare dies, and absolute darkness swallows everything. I turn my headlamp down the shaft and descend. The shaft continues for another 30 feet before opening into a tunnel that belongs in nightmares. The walls are glistened with moisture, and mineral deposits have formed bizarre shapes. Stalactites that look like grasping fingers, flowstone that resembles frozen waterfalls, calcite formations that catch my headlamp beam and throw back warped reflections. It's beautiful and utterly alien, a world that evolved in absolute darkness, indifferent to human presence. The temperature has dropped to just above freezing. My breath comes in clouds, and my fingers are starting to lose sensation despite my gloves. Hypothermia is a real concern this deep. The mountain's core temperature is constant, cold enough to pull heat from your body hour by hour until you simply stop shivering and start dying. The students' tracks are clear here, pressed into damp sediment. Two sets, moving erratically, with signs they were arguing or struggling. One set of prints shows drag marks, as if someone was being pulled along. That detail sends ice through my veins colder than anything the mind can produce. My gas meter has gone haywire. The readings fluctuate wildly, oxygen spiking to normal levels, then dropping to 14% in the span of seconds. Methane appears and disappears. The carbon monoxide sensor, which has been quiet this entire time, suddenly redlines before dropping back to zero. Either the device is malfunctioning or the air composition down here is chaotic, pockets of different gases swirling in unseen currents. I should replace the meter sensors. I should have done it last month during the quarterly maintenance, but budget cuts meant we had to prioritize, and I prioritized other things. Now I'm navigating blind, trusting a device that might be lying to me, and there's no way to know which readings are real. This is the psychological toll they don't warn you about in training. The constant second-guessing, the knowledge that every decision might be wrong, that the tools you trust might fail, that your own judgment might be compromised by the very air you're breathing. I've been down here for 73 minutes now. I'm past my turnaround time. Elena will be suiting up, preparing to come in after me. And I need to prevent that more than I need to find the students. But I can't leave without knowing. The tunnel opens into a space, so large my headlamp can't find the walls. The beam disappears into vast darkness, and the sound of dripping water comes from multiple directions, creating an overlapping rhythm that sounds almost musical. This is a natural cavern exposed during the mining operations, possibly the reason they dug this deep in the first place. Natural caves often contain mineral deposits, and miners followed them like roads into the earth's crust. My light catches something in the center of the space, a structure built from timber and stone, roughly 15 feet tall. As I approach, details emerge. It's a shrine of some kind, constructed for mining equipment and personal items. Old lunch pails are stacked like building blocks. Pickaxes stand upright, their handles wedged into gaps in stone. Photographs, so old they're barely visible, are pinned to the wooden surfaces. Names are carved into every available surface. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. An archive of the men who worked and died in these tunnels. This was important to the miners. They built this in their limited free time, using precious resources, creating a memorial in a place no one was ever meant to see. The dedication it represents is humbling and deeply disturbing in equal measure. I move closer, examining the photographs. Most show groups of men in work clothes, covered in rock dust, holding tools. Their eyes are hard, their expressions grim. They knew what they were risking every time they descended. Mining towns in the late 1800s had a life expectancy of 42 years. Not because people died of old age, but because they died in accidents, from silicosis, from infections that turned minor cuts into death sentences. One photograph stands out. It shows a man alone, standing in a tunnel, holding a lantern. The image quality is poor, but something about his posture suggests he's looking directly at the camera with an expression of profound sadness. Written below in faded ink, Thomas Brennan, last shift, May 17th, 1892. I don't know what happened to Thomas Brennan, but I can guess. The mine killed him like it killed so many others, and his friends memorialized him in the only way they could, by adding his name to the shrine and going back to work the next day. A sound pulls my attention away from the memorial. Voices, multiple voices, echoing from somewhere beyond the shrine. Not shouting, not calling for help, just talking in low tones, conversational, as if discussing something mundane. Hello, I call out. Tyler, Rachel, this is mine's safety patrol. The conversation stops. The silence that follows is absolute, without even the sound of dripping water to fill it. Then slowly the voices resume, but they're different now, faster, overlapping. speaking words I can't quite distinguish, but that sound urgent, warning, almost frantic. I move around the shrine, headlamp sweeping the darkness, and find another passage. This one descends sharply, nearly vertical in places, requiring a technical descent. The student's rope is anchored here, but it's been cut, not frayed or broken. Cut cleanly, as if with a knife. That detail stops me cold. Why would they cut their own rope? It's their only way back up, their lifeline to the surface. Cutting it is suicide unless there's another way out, and my map shows nothing. Unless the map is wrong. Unless these tunnels connect to something unmapped, something the mining company didn't record or deliberately hid. I anchor my own rope to the shrine itself. The structure is solid, built to last, more stable than anything else in this cursed place. I clip in and begin the descent, moving slowly, testing each handhold. The passage is narrow enough that I can brace against both walls, chimney style, controlling my descent without putting full weight on the rope. 20 feet down, the walls open up, and I'm in another tunnel. This one man-made, but different from the others. The walls are too smooth, the ceiling too regular. This wasn't carved with picks and black powder. This was machine-board modern equipment, which means it's recent. Very recent. I find the first body 15 feet into the tunnel. It's Tylerchin, sprawled face down, his headlamp shattered. His climbing gear still attached to his harness. No visible injuries, no blood, nothing to indicate what killed him. He looks like he simply lay down and died, except for his hands. His fingers are bloody, nails torn, scratched raw against the stone floor. Deep gouges in the rock itself, showing where he clawed desperately at solid stone. I check for pulse, knowing I won't find one. His skin is cold, but not cold enough for him to have been dead more than an hour or two. I roll him carefully, checking for injuries, and find none. His eyes are open, staring at nothing, and his expression is one of absolute terror. The gas meter should tell me something. Carbon monoxide poisoning causes people to lie down and die, often with no awareness that anything is wrong. But the meter is still fluctuating wildly, giving me no reliable data. I could be breathing poison right now and not know it until I join Tyler on the floor. I force myself to focus, to follow procedure even though everything inside me is screaming to run. I document Tyler's position with my phone camera, check his belongings for any indication of what happened. His pack contains the usual items, but also something unexpected, a printout of an article about the Raven Creek mine. I scan it quickly, the words jumping out in my headlamp beam. Mysterious closure in 1947. Unexplained deaths. Workers refused to enter lower levels. Investigation inconclusive. Mining company declared bankruptcy. There's more, but sound interrupts me. Footsteps, running, coming from deeper in the tunnel. Fast, desperate. The slap of shoes on stone echoing in the confined space. Rachel, I shout, standing, readying myself to catch someone moving too fast in the dark. The footsteps stop. Silence for a heartbeat. 2, 3. Then a voice, Rachel's voice, but wrong. Flat, emotionless, speaking from somewhere I can't pinpoint. He wouldn't stop reading. I told him not to read it. The rules are clear. You don't learn the history. You don't ask questions. You just leave. Rachel, where are you? I'm here to help. We need to get out now. There is no out. Don't you understand? The mine doesn't let you leave once you know. Tyler knew. Now, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Her voice is coming from everywhere and nowhere, echoing in impossible ways. My headlamp beam searches the darkness, finding nothing but tunnel stretching beyond its reach. Rachel, listen to me. You're hypoxic. The air down here is bad, and it's affecting your judgment. Come to my voice. Follow my light. We can still get out. Laughter, high and brittle. The air is fine. It's what's in the air that's the problem. Don't you smell it? Candles and gunpowder. They're still here. They never left. They just kept digging. I do smell it now that she mentions it. A faint scent of wax and sulfur. The ghost of old explosives and older lights. It shouldn't be possible. Any organic smell should have faded decades ago. But it's there, unmistakable, growing stronger. And underneath it, another smell. Rot and decay. The sweet, sick stench of death. My light finds her. Rachel is standing 50 feet down the tunnel, facing away from me, perfectly still. Her clothes are torn, her hair matted with dirt and blood. She's swaying slightly, as if to music only she can hear. Rachel, it's James Garrett, Mine Safety Patrol. I need you to turn around slowly and walk toward me. She doesn't turn. When she speaks, her voice is conversational, almost pleasant. They're showing me things, beautiful things, the veins of gold they never found. Deeper down, so much deeper. Enough to make everyone rich. They just have to keep digging. They just have to ignore the screaming. What's screaming, Rachel? From the ones who went before. The ones who learned the rules too late. The mountain remembers. It always remembers. She turns then, and my light catches her face. Her eyes are wrong, too wide, pupils dilated to the point where almost no iris shows. She's smiling, but it's a rictus pulled too tight, showing too many teeth. You should go, she says, before they start working again. The sounds are so loud when they start working. From somewhere deep in the tunnel, below and behind and around, comes a new sound. The ring of metal on stone, rhythmic and steady. Picks striking rock. Dozens of them, hundreds, all swinging in unison. The percussion builds, echoing through the tunnels, coming from everywhere at once. Rachel's smile widens impossibly further. Too late, she whispers. They've started the next shift. The tunnel lights up, not with electric light or fire, but with a soft yellow glow of oil lamps, appearing in the darkness like stars, hundreds of them, thousands, stretching down into depths that shouldn't exist. And behind each light, a figure, shadows that move with purpose, that swing picks and push carts and blast holes in virgin rock. They're mining. The ghosts are mining. And Rachel is one of them now. I can see it in her eyes. She's already gone. Her consciousness replaced by something ancient and relentless. The gas meter in my hand finally stabilizes, showing readings that make my blood ice. Carbon monoxide, 9,000 ppm. Lethal within 3 minutes. Oxygen, 11%. Impairment guaranteed. Methane, 5.4%. Explosive range. I've been breathing poison for the last 30 minutes. And my brain has been slowly shutting down, creating hallucinations, confusing reality with imagination. Except Rachel is real. Tyler's body is real. And the sounds of mining of picks on stone, those are real too. Or my dying brain believes they are, which amounts to the same thing. I grab Rachel's arm, and she's solid, real warm. We're leaving. Now, she doesn't resist as I pull her toward the rope, but she keeps talking. A continuous stream of words that make no sense. The foreman says we're close. The foreman says there's silver in the next drift. The foreman says we can't stop. Not now, not when we're so close. I clip her to my rope, using a spare harness from my pack. She doesn't help, but she doesn't fight either. Just stand there swaying, eyes focused on something I can't see. The phantom mining continues, the sound of it growing louder, more insistent. I start climbing, hauling us both up the vertical section, using technique I learned in training but never expected to use in a real rescue. Rachel is dead weight, occasionally kicking. Once trying to unclip herself before I stop her. The mind doesn't want to let us go. I can feel it. A resistance that's more than just gravity, more than just the weight of our bodies. We reach the shrine cavern, and the oil lamps are here too now, surrounding the memorial, illuminating the carved names and faded photographs. The names are glowing, pulsing with a sickly yellow light, and I can hear them now. Not voices, but the memory of voices, echoing through decades. Each name is a life, a death, a soul that never left these tunnels. I don't stop, can't stop. I drag Rachel past the shrine, her feet leaving trails in the dust, her voice still mumbling about quotas and ore quality and the foreman's demands. My legs burn, my lungs scream for clean air, and black spots dance in my vision. The carbon monoxide is doing its work, shutting down my body one system at a time. The rope ascent back up the shaft is agony. My hands shake as I work the mechanical ascender, each click of progress feeling like a victory against gravity and poison and whatever darkness inhabits this place. Rachel hangs below me, finally silent, and I don't know if she's unconscious or worse. Can't check, can only climb. Halfway up, my headlamp flickers. The battery is dying, giving me maybe 10 minutes of light before darkness reclaims everything. I climb faster, ignoring the strain in my shoulders, the cramping in my forearms. The shaft walls seem to press in closer, the darkness above and below becoming absolute. My head breaks through into the upper tunnel, and I haul myself over the edge, then pull Rachel up behind me. She's breathing, shallow but steady. I drag her away from the shaft, moving back toward the surface, following the map in my mind because the paper version is soaked with sweat and unreadable. The phantom mining sounds follow us. They're in the walls now, coming from side passages and sealed drifts. The percussion of 1,000 picks striking stone in perfect rhythm. My dying brain or something worse. I no longer care which. I just need to reach air that won't kill us, light that isn't filtered through poison and panic. We pass the chamber with the mannequin, and I swear it's turned to watch us. Its painted eyes follow our movement, its frozen smile knowing and terrible. I don't look back. The tunnel narrows, forcing me to drag Rachel through sideways. She's starting to wake, fighting me now, trying to go back. My shift isn't over, she mumbles. The foreman will dock my pay. I have to finish my shift. Your shift is done, I tell her, pulling harder. You're going home. The entrance appears ahead, a gray circle of daylight that looks impossibly bright after the darkness. 50 feet, 40. The mining sounds are deafening now, accompanied by voices shouting in languages I don't recognize. The rumble of ore carts on tracks, the crack of dynamite charges. 30 feet, 20. My headlamp dies, but it doesn't matter. The daylight is enough. 10 feet. Rachel screams, a sound of pure anguish, as the daylight touches her skin. She thrashes, fighting with desperate strength. But I'm bigger and my body still works mostly. And I pull us both through the entrance into cold Colorado sunlight. Elena is there, suited up and ready to enter, and her expression shifts from relief to horror as she sees us. I collapse, dragging Rachel down with me, both of us gasping in clean mountain air that tastes like heaven and burns our poisoned lungs like acid. Call it in, I manage to say. One deceased male, approximately 200 feet in, multiple passages down. We need a recovery team. And Elena, I grab her arm, looking into her eyes. Don't let anyone go deeper than the first chamber. Not without full hazmat gear. The air is contaminated. Carbon monoxide, methane, maybe something else. The readings don't make sense. Elena nods, already on her radio. Her voice crisp and professional as she calls for emergency medical and a recovery team. Rachel has gone limp beside me, unconscious now, her chest rising and falling with labored breaths. The paramedics will be here soon. They'll give us oxygen, run blood tests, probably keep us overnight for observation. But I can still hear it, even here in the sunlight, with clean air filling my lungs. I can hear the mining, faint, distant, like a radio playing in another room. The sound of picks on stone, the rumble of carts, the voices of men long dead still working their shifts in eternal darkness. I look at the mine entrance, that black mouth in the mountainside, and I understand something the old miners knew. Some places remember. Some places hold onto what happened within them, replaying it endlessly, and they pull at the living world like gravity, trying to drag everything back down into their darkness. The Raven Creek mine was closed in 1947 for reasons the reports never fully explained. Workers refused to enter. Men died under mysterious circumstances. The company declared bankruptcy rather than continue operations. Now, I know why. The mountain never stopped mining. The shifts never ended. And every person who goes deep enough becomes part of the crew, another worker in an operation that has no foreman, no owner, no purpose except to continue digging forever into the dark. Rachel opens her eyes, and for a moment, they're clear, lucid, fully human. "I saw them," she whispers. "All of them. Every man who died in there. They're still working. They think they're still alive." "You're safe now," I tell her. "Even though I'm not sure it's true. You're out." "Am I?" She closes her eyes again. I can still feel the pick in my hands. I can still smell the powder smoke. "James, I don't think we ever really leave. I think part of us stays down there forever." The ambulance arrives, red lights flashing, paramedics moving with efficient purpose. They load Rachel onto a stretcher, asking her questions she can't or won't answer. Elena pulls me aside, her expression grim. "The recovery team is staging," she says. "They want to know the exact location of the body and the condition of the tunnels." I think about Tylerton, sprawled on cold stone, his fingers bloody from clawing at solid rock. I think about the lower levels, the machine board tunnel that shouldn't exist, the shrine to dead miners, the phantom lights stretching into impossible depths. "Tell them to wait until tomorrow," I say. "Full daylight, fresh crew, and Elena, make sure they understand. This isn't a normal recovery. There's something wrong in those tunnels. Something that affects your judgment, makes you see things, makes you want to stay. Carbon monoxide poisoning? Maybe. Probably. But it doesn't explain everything." I look at the mine entrance again and swear I see movement in the shadows just beyond the daylight's reach. Make sure they bring gas meters. Multiple, redundant systems. And Elena, if the readings start fluctuating wildly like mine did, if anyone on the team starts talking about shifts and quotas and the foreman, you pull them out immediately. You understand? No heroics. No one else dies in there. She nods, understanding in her eyes. Elena has been doing this work longer than I have. She's seen things, pulled bodies from places that killed them in ways that don't make sense. She knows that some minds are worse than others, that some darkness is more than just the absence of light. The paramedics want to take me in the ambulance, but I refuse. I need to stay to make sure the recovery team understands what they're walking into. Tylerton deserves to be brought out to be laid to rest properly, but not at the cost of more lives. I sit on the hood of Elena's truck, wrapped in a thermal blanket, breathing oxygen from a portable tank, and watch the mine entrance as the sun moves across the sky. The shadows shift and lengthen, and sometimes I think I see figures in those shadows. Men in old-fashioned work clothes, carrying lunch pails and tools, heading down for another shift. My phone buzzes, a text from the department chief, asking for a preliminary report. I type slowly, my hands still shaking from exertion and aftermath. 1 fatality confirmed. 2nd victim recovered. Status critical. Mine conditions extremely hazardous. Recommend indefinite closure and full structural survey before any further entry. What I don't write, the mine is haunted. The dead still work there. The darkness is alive and hungry, and it wants us all back in its belly, digging forever in the cold and the dark. Because how do you put that in a report? How do you explain that you saw oil lamps where there should be nothing but darkness, heard voices from men who died over a century ago, felt the mountain itself resisting your escape? You don't. You blame the carbon monoxide, the oxygen deprivation, the stress and fear and exhaustion. You call it hallucination and move on. Because the alternative is admitting that there are places in this world where the normal rules don't apply, where the past bleeds into the present, where death is not an ending but a change and shift assignment. The sun touches the horizon, painting the sky orange and red. In an hour it will be dark, and the mine entrance will be just another shadow among shadows. The recovery team is scheduled to enter at first light tomorrow, and I'll be with them despite Elena's objections, despite the paramedics' warnings, despite every instinct I have screaming at me to stay in sunlight. Because Tyler needs to come home. Because there are rules to this work, procedures and protocols that matter even when everything else is chaos and madness. Because I'm the one who knows the way down, and I'm the one who has to face what waits in the dark. Rachel is being loaded into the ambulance now, still unconscious or pretending to be. As they close the doors, I see her eyes open, see her looking not at me or the paramedics but past us, toward the mine entrance. And she smiles, the same terrible rictus smile she wore in the depths. "See you tomorrow, Foreman," she whispers, and the doors close. The ambulance pulls away, lights fading into distance, and I'm left with Elena and the approaching night and the knowledge that tomorrow I'll have to go back down into the darkness. The mountain waits, patient, eternal, and somewhere deep in its belly, the night shift has just begun. I don't sleep that night. Can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see oil lamps in the darkness, hear the ring of picks on stone, feel the mountain pressing in from all sides. The hospital offered to keep me for observation, but I refused. I have reports to file, equipment to prepare, and a recovery operation to plan. But mainly I need to understand. I spend the night in the department office, surrounded by old mining records and geological surveys. The Raven Creek mine opened in 1889, following a promising silver vein discovered by prospectors who didn't live long enough to profit from it. The mine changed hands 6 times in its 58 years of operation, each owner extracting what they could before selling to the next optimistic fool. Production records show steady output until 1947, then nothing. No gradual decline, no indication of played-out veins. Just full operation 1 month, complete closure the next. The incident reports from that final year make for grim reading. March 1947. 3 workers refused to enter the lower levels, citing unusual sounds and sensations. They're fired for cowardice. April. 2 men go missing in the deep sections. Their bodies are never recovered. May. A foreman named Douglas Kellerman reports anomalous readings on all safety equipment and recommends immediate evacuation of the lower works. He's overruled by management. June. Kellerman goes into the mine alone after his crew refuses to follow him. He doesn't come out. The final entry, dated July 3rd, 1947, is handwritten in what looks like a panic scrawl. They won't stop working. We cut the power, sealed the entrances to the lower drifts, but we can still hear them. Every night, all night, the sound of mining. Management has decided to cease all operations and declare bankruptcy. May God forgive us for what we left down there. The mine was sealed within a week, but sealed isn't the same as closed, and desperate measures are never thorough. The main entrance was walled up with concrete, but the mountain has thousands of cracks and fissures. Water finds its way in. Air circulates through channels too small to see, but large enough to matter. And people always find a way to enter places they shouldn't. I find a map from 1946, more detailed than anything I've seen before. It shows the lower levels, the sections I walked through yesterday, but also something else. Another level below that, marked in red ink with a single word, condemned. There's a notation in the margin nearly illegible. Original workings discovered during excavation of Drift 7. Pre-existing tunnel system, origin unknown. Recommend immediate closure and backfill. Work suspended due to equipment failures and personnel issues. Pre-existing. The word echoes in my mind. The mine didn't create those lower tunnels. It found them. Someone or something was mining there before 1889, before Colorado was a state, before there were records or maps or safety regulations. And whatever was down there, it's still there. My phone rings at 4:47 a.m., yanking me from the reports. It's the hospital. Mr. Garrett, this is Dr. Singh at Memorial. I'm calling about Rachel Hartley, the patient you brought in yesterday. She's gone. My stomach tightens. Gone? She died. No, she left. Walked out about an hour ago. Security footage shows her leaving through the emergency exit, still in her hospital gown. Mr. Garrett, she shouldn't have been able to walk. Her blood work showed carbon monoxide levels that should have left her comatose for days. But she just stood up and walked out. And when security tried to stop her, she looked at them and said she had to get back to work. Said her shift wasn't over. I'm already grabbing my keys, heading for the door. Did the footage show which direction she went? North, toward the mountain. A pause. Mr. Garrett, there's something else. Her blood tests showed something unusual. Particulates in her bloodstream. Mineral compounds we couldn't identify. And her oxygen saturation, it was normal in the ER. But the overnight reading showed dropping steadily, like her body was forgetting how to process air. I've never seen anything like it. I thank her and hang up, my mind racing. Rachel is heading back to the mine, back to finish her shift. Whatever happened to her down there, whatever she breathed or saw or experienced, it's pulling her back, like it pulled back all the others. The recovery team is meeting at the mine at 6 a.m. I'm there at 5:15, as the first gray light touches the mountain peaks. Elena is already there. Look like she slept as little as I did. I heard about Rachel, she says. James, we need to reconsider this recovery. But the mine is toxic. If it's affecting people's neurochemistry, it's not just toxicity. I interrupt. Look at this. I show her the historical records on my tablet, the reports from 1947, the references to pre-existing tunnels. The mine tapped into something that was already there. The workers in 1947 knew it. They tried to warn everyone and nobody listened. Elena scans the documents, her expression growing darker. So what are you saying? That the mine is haunted? That ghosts are mining for ghost silver? I'm saying that whatever's down there, it affects perception, judgment, maybe even reality itself. Tyler Chun brought research about the mine, read about its history while he was inside. Rachel said he wouldn't stop reading, that it was against the rules. Maybe information itself is dangerous down there. Maybe knowing about what happened makes you vulnerable to whatever is happening. That's insane. Is it? You've done this work, Elena. You've seen the bodies, the ones who died for no reason, who were found in impossible positions or showed injuries that don't match the scene. We always blame equipment failure, human error, bad luck. But what if some minds are different? What if some places remember their dead so strongly that they trap the living? She's quiet for a long moment, staring at the mine entrance. If that's true, we should seal this place permanently. Concrete, steel. Bury the entrance under 100 tons of rock. I agree, but first we get Tyler out. We owe him that. The recovery team arrives as the sun clears the eastern peaks. 6 specialists with gas meters, communication equipment, and body recovery gear. I brief them on the hazards, showing them my path on the map, warning them about the unstable air and the psychological effects. What I don't mention are the oil lamps, the phantom miners, the sound of picks on stone. They'll think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. Carbon monoxide can do strange things to the brain, create vivid hallucinations, false memories. Maybe everything I saw yesterday was just my dying neurons misfiring. But I don't believe that. Not anymore. We enter the mine at 6:34 a.m., moving as a unit, each person clipped to a safety line. The leader, a veteran named Rodriguez, sets a steady pace, stopping every 50 feet to check air quality and structural integrity. Everything is by the book, professional, careful. The mind feels different in the morning, quieter, less oppressive, as if the night shift has ended and the day crew hasn't started yet. Our headlamps illuminate the familiar passages, showing nothing but old rock and older timber. The gas meters read normally, no wild fluctuations like yesterday. We reached the first major chamber without incident. The mannequin is still there, still wearing its frozen smile, but it's just a mannequin, not watching, not aware, just a piece of stagecraft left by someone who thought abandoned mines were romantic. Garrett, Rodriguez calls back. Your map shows the descent shaft ahead. How stable is it? The timber framing is compromised. We'll need to use modern anchors, not trust the old supports. We spend 20 minutes rigging a proper descent system, triple-checking every anchor and connection. This is how professional recovery works. Slow, methodical, paranoid about safety. Yesterday, I rushed, driven by urgency and fear. Today, we have time, equipment backup. Today should be safer. But as we descend into the shaft, as the circle of daylight above shrinks to a distant star, I feel it again, that sense of pressure, of being watched, of entering a space that doesn't want us here. The others feel it too. I can see it in how they move, the way they check their equipment more frequently, the nervous glances at shadows that don't quite behave like shadows should. We reach the tunnel with the warning message. Don't go deeper. The chalk is still there, still fresh despite a night of mountain air and moisture. Rodriguez photographs it, documenting everything for the report. Who wrote this, he asks. One of the victims, the female. She left this warning, then kept going. Why? Because the mind called her, because the darkness has gravity, because there are rules down here that supersede survival instinct. But I don't say any of that. Hypoxia, bad judgment, the usual reasons people do fatal things. We descend further, following my route from yesterday. The shrine cavern is ahead, and I brace myself for what we might find. Will the memorial still be there? Will it show signs of the phantom miners? The impossible lights? We emerge into the cavern, and it's exactly as I remember. The timber and stone structure stands in the center, covered in names and old photographs. Rodriguez approaches it, playing his light over the carved surfaces. This is incredible, he breathes. Do you know how historically significant this is? This needs to be documented, preserved. We're here for Tylerton, I interrupt. The history can wait. But it can't, can it? That's the trap. The mind wants us to look, to learn, to understand. It wants us to become part of its story, to add our names to the shrine, to pick up the tools and start working. Knowledge is the danger. Understanding is the trap. We move past the shrine, heading for the final descent. Tyler's body is in the tunnel below, and we're so close now, so close to bringing him home. That's when the gas meters start screaming. All 6 of them simultaneously, showing carbon monoxide levels that should be instantly lethal. The needle maxes out at 10,000 ppm, and these are reading beyond that. The digital displays flashing error messages. Masks on, Rodriguez shouts, "Everyone respirators now." We scramble to deploy our self-contained breathing apparatus, military-grade equipment that filters nothing because it carries its own air supply. The world narrows to the sound of my own breathing, loud in the enclosed space, and the knowledge that we're now on a timer. 30 minutes of air, maybe 40 if we're careful. But the meters are lying. They have to be. I breathe through the mask, and the air is fine. No taste of poison, no burning sensation, no immediate effects. Either all 6 meters failed simultaneously, which is astronomically unlikely, or something is interfering with them, something that wants us to leave. Keep moving, I tell Rodriguez. The body is close. 5 minutes there, 5 back. We'll be out with time to spare. We descend into the lower tunnel. moving faster now, driven by the false urgency of failing equipment. And there, exactly where I left him, is Tylerton, except he's not alone anymore. Rachel Hartley is there too, kneeling beside Tyler's body, still wearing her hospital gown. She's arranged his arms across his chest, placed a stone under his head as a pillow, and scattered old tools around him. A lunch pail, a pickaxe, a dented helmet. She's turned him into part of the shrine, made him one of the memorial dead. "Rachel," I say, my voice muffled by the respirator mask, "you need to come with us. You're not well." She looks up, and her eyes are that same terrible black, pupils dilated until no color shows. He's one of them now. He worked his shift. He earned his rest. He's dead, Rachel. He's not working anything. Let us take him home to his family. This is home. She stands, swaying slightly. Don't you understand yet? We all come home eventually. The mountain calls us back and we answer. We always answer. Rodriguez signals to the team, and two of them move forward to retrieve Tyler's body. Rachel doesn't stop them, just watches with that knowing smile as they lift him onto a transport stretcher, securing him for the ascent. "You'll be back," she says to me. "You breathed the deep air. You've seen the lights. You've heard the calling. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually your shift will come." "Get her," I tell the team. But Rachel is already moving, stepping backward into the darkness beyond my headlamp range. Rachel, wait. She doesn't wait. She turns and runs, disappearing into the deeper tunnel, the one that leads to the condemned sections, the pre-existing works that should have been sealed decades ago. I start after her, but Rodriguez grabs my arm. "We have the body. That's the mission. We don't have air or time to search for someone who doesn't want to be found." He's right. Protocol says we secure the known casualty, exit safely, and organize a secondary operation for other victims. Rachel is mobile, conscious, and made her choice. We can't force rescue on someone who's actively fleeing, but leaving her feels wrong. Feels like abandonment, like accepting that the mine has claimed her, that she's already part of its permanent crew. 5 minutes, I tell Rodriguez. Give me 5 minutes. If I don't find her, we leave. Absolutely not. We go as a team or not at all. The decision is made for us. From the deeper tunnel, from the direction Rachel fled, comes a sound that makes everyone freeze. Not the phantom mining this time. Something worse. Laughter. Dozens of voices, hundreds, all laughing together in perfect unison. The sound of men who died in darkness, who never stopped working, who find something hilarious about the living stumbling through their eternal workplace. And beneath the laughter, barely audible, Rachel's voice. "Welcome to the shift. The foreman has your assignments." The tunnel lights up with those impossible oil lamps, appearing like stars in the darkness, stretching away into depths that can't exist, and figures shadowy and indistinct, moving with purpose, swinging picks, pushing carts, working a mine that closed 78 years ago. "Out," Rodriguez says, his voice tight. "Everyone out. Now, we don't need to be told twice." The team moves as one, hauling Tyler's body up to the shaft, climbing with desperate speed. The laughter follows us, echoing through passages, joined now by singing old mining songs and languages I half recognize. Work chants keeping time with the rhythm of labor. We reach the shrine cavern, and the structure has changed. New names have been carved into the wood, fresh cuts that weren't there 20 minutes ago. I see them in my peripheral vision as we rush past Tylerton 2025, and below it Rachel Hartley 2025, and worse, Douglas Cullum 1947, and Thomas Brennan 1892. Names from different eras, all showing fresh carving, as if time itself is breaking down, past and present bleeding together. The ascent is a blur of rope and rock and burning muscles. Tyler's body threatens to snag on every protrusion, but we muscle through, driven by fear and professionalism in equal measure. The laughter chases us, growing louder, joined by the percussion of phantom mining. the whole mountain ringing like a bell struck by invisible hammers. We burst from the mine entrance into cold morning sunlight at 8:17 a.m. The entire team collapses on the ground, gasping despite our respirators, feeling the psychological weight lift as we leave the darkness behind. Tyler's body lies between us, finally home, finally free of the mountain's grip. But not all of us made it out. Rachel Hartley remains below, joining the eternal shift, becoming part of the mine's permanent crew. We failed her, or she failed herself, or the mountain claimed what it was always owed. The distinction doesn't matter now. Rodriguez pulls off his respirator, his face pale. I want this entrance sealed. Today, right now. Concrete, steel bars, warning signs in 3 languages. It won't matter, I tell him. People will still find ways in. They always do. Then we bury it, collapse the entrance, make it look like there was never mine here at all. That won't work either. The mountain remembers. The tunnels remain. You can't erase what happened just by covering it up. He looks at me, and I see understanding in his eyes. He experienced what I did, saw things that shouldn't exist, heard impossible sounds. The report he writes will mention equipment malfunction, hazardous air quality, psychological stress. It won't mention the laughter or the lights or the shrine with names that updated themselves. Because how do you report the impossible? How do you file paperwork about places where the rules of reality don't apply? You don't. You close the file, recommend permanent closure, and try to forget. Try being the operative word. Tyler Chen's parents arrive that evening. They thank us for bringing their son home, ask questions we can't fully answer, grieve in ways that tear my heart. I don't tell them about the shrine, about their son being arranged as part of a memorial to century-old deaths. I don't tell them that something in the mountain wanted to keep him, make him part of its permanent collection. I give them the official story. Toxic air, disorientation, tragic accident. They accept it because the alternative is too strange, too frightening. Their son died doing something foolish, but at least they understand it. Rachel's parents call the next day. They're organizing search and rescue. Want to know where we last saw her, demand answers. I tell them the truth. She fled deeper into the mine, refused rescue, disappeared into sections we couldn't safely access. Why don't tell them? She's still down there, working a shift that never ends, mining for, or that doesn't exist, answering to a foreman who died before they were born. She's part of the mountain now, as permanent as a rock itself. The mine entrance is sealed with 3 feet of reinforced concrete, steel mesh, and warning signs that would make a hazmat team nervous. It won't stop everyone, but it will stop some. It will give the mountain fewer victims to claim, fewer names to add to its eternal roster. But I know the truth. The mountain is patient. The mine is always hiring. And somewhere in the darkness, picks still ring against stone, oil lamps still burn with impossible light, and the shift goes on forever, waiting for the next worker to clock in. I dream of it every night now. The descent into darkness, the weight of the mountain, the sound of mining that never stops. Sometimes I wake up convinced I'm still down there, that the surface world is the dream and the tunnels are reality. Elena notices. She suggests counseling, time off, maybe a transfer to a different role. I tell her I'm fine, and we both know it's a lie, because Rachel was right. I breathed the deep air. I saw the lights. I heard the calling. And someday, maybe not soon, but inevitably my shift will come. The mountain is patient. The mountain always wins. And when the mind finally calls my name, I'll answer. We all do eventually. We all go home. 3 weeks pass. On paper. I'm recovering well. Mandatory counseling sessions that I navigate with practiced responses, physical health cleared by multiple doctors, and full clearance to return to active duty. The Raven Creek mine is officially sealed, buried under tons of concrete and administrative red tape. The case of Rachel Hartley remains open but cold, listed as a missing person who likely succumbed to exposure in the wilderness surrounding the mine. Tyler Chen's funeral happens on a gray Tuesday. I attend, standing in the back, watching his parents weep over a closed casket. The official cause of death is carbon monoxide poisoning. And that's technically true, just not the whole truth. But the truth is, I'm not recovering at all. Every night, I dream of the tunnels. Not nightmares exactly. That would be easier to dismiss. These dreams are matter-of-fact, mundane, just another shift in the darkness. I'm mining, working alongside shadowy figures whose faces I can never quite see. We're following a vein of silver that gleams in lamplight, always just ahead, always promising richness beyond measure if we just dig a little deeper. I wake from these dreams with my hands sore, blisters forming on my palms where no blister should be. The undersides of my fingernails are dark with dirt that shouldn't be there. And sometimes in the pre-dawn silence, I swear I can hear it. The distant ring of metal on stone. The rhythm of picks swinging in unison. The mind is calling me back. I tell myself it's psychological. Trauma response, PTSD. The mind's way of processing extreme stress. I tell myself the blisters are psychosomatic. The dirt is for my garden. The sounds are just a house settling. I tell myself a lot of things, and none of them are convincing. Elena notices, of course. She's been doing this work too long not to see the signs. "You're going back, aren't you?" she asks one morning as we're preparing equipment for a routine inspection of a sealed mine near Leadville. "Back where?" "Don't play that game with me, James. I see it in your eyes." The same look Rachel had in the hospital before she walked out. The same look in the old photographs from 1947. "You're planning to return to Raven Creek." I want to deny it, but the lie won't come. I have to know what's really down there, what we actually saw. We saw toxic air and stressed minds creating hallucinations. That's it. That's the whole story. You believe that? She's quiet for a long moment. I want to believe that. The alternative is that there are places in this world that don't follow normal rules, that the dead can trap the living, that a 100-year-old mind has consciousness and hunger. I can't accept that and keep doing this job. Then maybe it's time to stop doing this job. Maybe it is. She hands me a manila folder. This came to the office yesterday, addressed to you specifically. No return address. Inside the folder is a single photograph, old and faded. It shows a group of miners, maybe 20 men, standing outside a tunnel entrance. At first, I think it's just another historical photo. Interesting, but irrelevant. Then I look closer at the faces. In the back row, slightly out of focus, is a man who looks exactly like me. Not similar, identical. Same jawline, same eyes, same scar on my left cheek from a childhood accident. He's wearing clothes from the 1890s, holding pickaxe, and staring directly at the camera with an expression I recognize. It's the look of someone who knows they're going to die, but can't stop themselves from walking toward it anyway. I flipped the photo over. Written on the back in faded ink, James Garrett, Raven Creek Mine, 1892. May God grant him rest. My hands start shaking. This is impossible. This is someone's sick joke. Is it? Elena takes a photo, studies it carefully. "James, I've been doing research. The historical records, the old newspaper articles. Your family has been in Colorado for generations, right? Mining families? My great-great-grandfather was a miner, but that doesn't. His name was James Garrett. He died in 1892 in a Raven Creek mine. They never recovered his body." She taps the photograph. "This might actually be him, your ancestor." The room tilts. I sit down hard, trying to process what she's saying. So what? Genetics gave us similar features. It's a coincidence. Is it? Or is a mind calling you back because you were always part of it? Because some debt was never paid? Some shift was never completed? That's insane. All of this is insane. Elena's voice rises. Then she catches herself. speaks more quietly. James, I've been having dreams too. Every night since we brought Tyler out. Dreams of tunnels, of mining, of voices calling me deeper. And yesterday, I found this under my fingernails. She shows me her hands, dark mineral deposits, the same kind that were in Rachel's bloodstream, line the underside of her nails. We're sick, I say desperately. Some kind of contamination from the mine air. We need medical attention, maybe chelation therapy. I had full blood work done, twice. I'm completely healthy. No toxins, no infections, nothing. The doctors can't explain the mineral deposits. They shouldn't be there, but they are, and they're growing. She rolls up her sleeves, showing me her forearms. Dark veins pattern her skin, looking like cracks in stone, spreading slowly toward her heart. I check my own arms and find the same marks. How did I miss them? When did they appear? My breath catches in my throat. The lines spider across my skin, thin, dark fissures that shimmer faintly under the fluorescent light, like veins of silver buried just beneath the flesh. I trace one with trembling fingers. It pulses subtly, as though something beneath the surface is alive. Elena, I whisper, my voice breaking. What's happening to us? She doesn't answer. She just stares at her arms, her expression hollow. The same kind of hopeless awe I saw in Rachel's eyes before she vanished. Then she finally says, "It's not sickness, James. It's connection." The word sinks into me like a pick striking, or that night I can't sleep. The sound of picks and shovels comes again. Distant, steady, almost soothing. I lie there, staring at the ceiling, and the rhythm seems to synchronize with my heartbeat. Clink, clink, clink. Each strike calls something ancient inside me. I give up trying to resist around 3 a.m. By dawn, I'm already driving west, toward Raven Creek. The authorities have the access road sealed, but there are always ways around. I park 2 miles out and hike through the fog-thick pines, the cold air sharp in my lungs. The deeper I go, the quieter it gets. No birds, no wind, just that low hum, like the earth itself is vibrating. When I reach the old barricade, the concrete slab that sealed the mine entrance is cracked straight down the center. It shouldn't be. The split looks deliberate, inviting. For a long moment, I just stand there, staring into the darkness. My hands ache to hold something heavy. I spot a rusted pickaxe half buried in the dirt beside the barrier. It feels right in my grip, balanced, familiar. Elena, I murmur. I shouldn't have come alone. But deep down, I know she's already on her way. The first step inside the mine feels like crossing a threshold between worlds. The temperature drops instantly. My flashlight beam catches the walls. Wet, gleaming, streaked with that same silver-black mineral. The air hums faintly. Not the oppressive silence I remember. It's alive. James. I spin around. The voice is soft, echoing faintly from deeper within. It's Elena's. Elena? I call out, but my voice sounds muffled, swallowed by the dark. No answer. Just that rhythmic clink, clink, clink coming from below. I descend. Every tunnel feels familiar now, though I shouldn't recognize any of them. The deeper I go, the more the silver veins in the rock begin to glow, faintly at first, then brighter, until I can see without the flashlight. My skin itches. When I glance down, the dark lines on my arms are glowing too, pulsing in sync with the veins in the walls. Then I see them, the miners. They move methodically in the distance, pickaxes rising and falling in perfect rhythm. Their faces are obscured by grime and shadow, but their motions are steady, endless. None of them seem to notice me. Or maybe they all do, they just don't care. I step closer. One turns toward me. His face is blank, pale stone stretched over bone. But behind the cracked surface, I see something flickering, like molten light trapped behind rock. Shift's not over, he says in a voice that echoes in my skull. You're late. The pickaxe trembles in my hands. What is this place? He doesn't answer. He just turns back to the wall and resumes swinging. Clink, clink, clink. I should run. Every rational part of my brain screams at me to turn back. But my feet keep moving forward, down into a central chamber. The light grows stronger there, silver mist swirling like breath. And in the center, Rachel. She's kneeling beside a fissure in the rock, her hands pressed to the ground, veins glowing like molten metal. Her eyes flick up to me, and for a moment, she almost looks human. You came back, she says. Her voice carries both relief and sorrow. They always come back. What are you talking about? What happened to you? Her expression softens. You already know. You just haven't remembered yet. The fissure beneath her glows brighter, light spilling out like liquid. The walls tremble. Shapes form in the silver mist. Faces, hundreds of them, all staring with the same haunted eyes. My great-great-grandfather, I whisper. James Garrett. She nods. You started the shift. The first one. You opened the vein. You promised them the silver would flow forever. This can't be real. It is. You think you left this place, but you've never left. You and all who came after you, flesh and blood, just keep coming back, carrying the memory, the dead. The ground splits open with a thunderous crack. Light bursts from below, searing my eyes. The air fills with whispers. Hundreds of voices chanting in perfect rhythm. Work, work, work. The glow spreads of my arms, seeping into my chest. My heartbeat sinks with chant. I drop the pickaxe, but it doesn't fall. It hovers, vibrating, then melts into my hand, fusing with my skin. Rachel steps closer, placing her glowing palm on my chest. It's not punishment, she whispers. It's calling. We dig not for ore, but for the heart of the world, for the thing that breathes beneath the stone. It keeps us alive. The last thing I see before the light swallows everything is Elena stumbling into the chamber, her eyes wide, her veins blazing like rivers of silver. She screams my name, but the sound fades as the light consumes us both. 3 months later, the Raven Creek site suffers a geological collapse during routine stabilization. The reports claim a sudden sinkhole opened, swallowing the entire valley. Recovery teams find no bodies, no equipment, no sign of any chamber. But deep in the archives of the Colorado Bureau of Mines, a photograph is added to the Raven Creek file. No source, no timestamp. It shows 2 figures standing side by side at the tunnel entrance. A man and a woman, both covered in dust, their eyes faintly glowing silver. Written on the back, in fresh ink, James Garrett and Elena Ruiz, the new overseers. The shift continues. And if you stand near the ruins on a windless night, some say you can still hear it. The steady rhythm of picks striking stone, echoing from beneath the earth. Clink, clink, clink. The end.